Nicki, I can see what you're up to, but what are you up to?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to spruce things up a little. We've got a celebrity florist on our hands and I want to make him feel right at home.
But you better get a move on because the show's about to start.
Put it this way, I'm not going to give up my day job.
You did a good job.
I try. Hello and welcome to Wednesday at the RHS Chelsea Flower Show 2021, an event supported by M&G.
Well, the medals have been awarded, and yesterday the Guangzhou China Garden received the honour of being named RHS Best Show Garden. And after the drama and excitement of Medals Day, the growers and designers have reached the midweek point of the event.
It really is proving to be a Chelsea to remember. We'll have more medal results for you today and plenty of tips and ideas to help you on your gardening journey, whether you're an old hand or a first-timer.
Well, here's what we've got in store for you on today's show.
We'll be revealing the winner of the Best Sanctuary Garden. The result will certainly have calmed the nerves of one lucky garden designer.
Chris Bavin will be showing us how to make the most of our gardens as he seeks out expert tips on growing plants for free.
And celebrity florist Simon Lysick gives me a masterclass in flower arranging. Best of luck as he shows me how to create a splendiferous seasonal cut flower display.
Now, all week, Toby Buckland is joining us to demystify garden design and show you the basic principles that you can use to transform your garden at home into a medal winner worthy of Chelsea. Yesterday, he looked at how to choose the right style for your garden to suit your lifestyle. Today, he's looking at how best to use the space you've got.
Last time, we looked at formal and informal garden layouts. And once you've decided which of those you're going to favour, the next job is dividing up the space. Now here's a trick that most Chelsea garden designers use. They start with a building. And here's why a building is a designer's gift. Placed at one end of the garden, it creates a full stop, but also gives a motivation for going down there. And it doesn't have to be a fancy pavilion. It could be a simple shed or a pergola. And the genius is, by having that at one end of the garden, the paths that lead to it divide up the rest of the space. The paths in this garden are informal. And to rewind what that means, they've been made by Mother Nature, from the materials within them to the curves in their sides. And there are rules if you have a curved path. You've got to have a reason for the curve, and that could be an existing tree or a border. One thing to remember is, if you're just using small plants, make sure they're evergreen, so they're going to be there for you in winter. But don't forget the reason for the curve. If you have gravel or grass next to a curve in a path, you'll always cut the corner. With your building in place and the meanders in the paths made sense of, the rest of the space, well, you can cut and paste with what you need. This being a Chelsea garden, of course, it's an interesting melee of evergreens and hypericum. Imagine trying to find a football in this. This would be the perfect spot, actually, for a trampoline or a lawn to lay out a picnic rug when the sun shines. Now, I said that most garden designers started with a building in the corner of their garden to help them divide up the space. Not all of them do that, and very rarely you get a garden like this. This is Tom Hoblin's creation, and pretty much his whole garden is the building. I've never seen anything like it, but I have seen the principles behind how he's divided up his garden. The starting point for a garden like this is the patio. One thing to know about square patios, square decks, square lawns, formal things, is that they don't have to sit square with the outside of your building or your boundaries, because they're so dominant with their sharp edges, that's all you see. You would never notice whether a border was thinner at one end and wider at the other. Be generous with the planting, but be restrained. And what I mean by that is, look for exciting plants like this brother and sister tree fern. They're nice and big, they catch the eye, but don't mix it up too much with other things because then it gets busy and can end up making your garden look smaller. Of course, there are no truly fixed formulas in garden design, but if you start with something practical, a patio or a garden building, you can divide and rule the rest.
Thanks, Toby. Simple principles which anyone can follow. Yesterday, Mark Lane ventured here into the Great Pavilion to look at the amazing work of the entrance to the RHS Floristry and Floral Design competition, and he met the winner of the installations category. Today, it's Frances's turn as she looks at the windows category.
These displays are all 1 metre by 1.5 metres, and the florists were working under two main themes. The first is British bloom, so as many of the plants as possible are to be sourced from the UK. And the second is preservation. And when you look around, there are some really incredible techniques, pressing and drying to preserve these flowers for as long as possible. Hi Teresa. Hello. I love your display. Will you talk me through it?
The theme was preservation, so it's all about dried flowers. It's all about leaving some of the seed heads in your garden over autumn and winter to help support the insects. There's 11 different insects in there, all represented through plant material, and the skull as a central feature shows us that death and senescence is not the end of life, but a very important part of it.
Which is very topical, having Chelsea in the autumn when things are beginning to come to that point. How did you go about actually making all of this?
Everything here is grown by us. We're a social enterprise. We work with adults with autism and learning difficulties. They help grow the plants. I've dried the plants. Even the back cloth is made with sustainable calico dyed with oak gall and iron.
Amazing. And it just shows how circular horticulture and floristry can be.
Certainly,
that you really can make everything yourself. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I love all the different messages you have going on in there. It's really well done.
Thank you.
Yesterday, the president of the RHS, Keith Weed, presented the award for the best floral window to Amanda Randall Cox. Congratulations, Amanda. You must be thrilled.
Oh, over the moon. You know, this is what every florist dreams of being able to achieve. When the brief first came out from the RHS, you know, British bloom sustainably arranged, I had to take part because that's what I've been doing for 21 years at Hotel Ensley. You know, every week I bring in flowers from the garden and arrange them sustainably.
Well, it must be so lovely to know that you're, you've been recognised for what you do. And the colours, I have to say, of the actual flowers are beautiful.
Thank you. The interesting thing about choosing flowers from a garden is that you have to wait for nature. You know, as a florist, normally you would buy them in and they arrive. But you're so much more involved in the process of looking at garden flowers.
And the hydrangea, I love that it's green, you know, that's sort of right at the front.
So the hydrangea is a pale blue in the spring and the summer, and the way it changes colour into the autumn was very exciting.
I love it, and I love the birds. Did you make them yourself?
I did make them. They're really just a repetition of the metal container. It was just to complete the implied circle of the design.
Well, it really is a triumph, and now you can relax and just enjoy it and celebrate.
Absolutely. It's been 2 years in the making, and next week I don't have to think about it anymore.
Well done to all the winners. Now, in today's Secret Chelsea, Angellica has been out on a treasure hunt of the gems hidden in the gardens.
There is so much to see here at Chelsea, and sometimes the best bits are in the details. And I've tracked down some of my favourites. I'm in the beautiful one-show garden, which was designed by our very own Arit. And if you weren't sure about the name, well, there's a clue hidden under the bridge, which can only be seen in the reflection of the water. In the Garden of Hope, do keep an eye out for poignant words that are dotted around, like rejuvenating and connection. These words have been sent in by the viewers themselves to express how green spaces and nature have impacted them positively. One of the central themes of the garden is this idea that it's giving you a massive hug. And this section is one of my favourite bits. It's like a tiny pocket just snuck away around the back, and it's called the sanctuary. So amongst all the hustle and bustle of the Chelsea Flower Show, you can have this moment of peace and feel like you're almost in heaven. As you walk around the garden, you'll notice these 3 individual sculptures. But here's a tip. If you stand in the middle of the bridge, you'll notice them combine into one. This is the balcony of blooms, and the main idea is to create a feeling of privacy that encloses you. It's compact, full of plants, but practical at the same time. Now in here are these bespoke oak benches that secretly double up as storage space. In amongst the plants, we have some edibles thrown in, such as salad burnet and thyme. And hidden away from view is flooring that features little stars.
Now it's time for us to reveal another one of the big RHS awards. It's a new category, Best Sanctuary Garden. They're all designed with health and well-being in mind. The competition was fierce, with 6 gardens to choose from, and the winner delivered on atmosphere, design and execution. And here is the moment that RHS Director General Sue Biggs surprised the winner.
I'm sorry to stop you in the middle of your tracks, but I am delighted to say that you have won the Best Sanctuary Garden this year.
So Sarah, a huge congratulations for you. What is this, your 18th RHS gold medal?
It's my 18th RHS gold medal indeed, and it's as important as all the others, and I never lose the amazement and the delight in actually getting an award.
And you have to be one of the most modest people here as well, because what we have to add is that you've won more RHS gold medals across all the categories than any other designer. Do you feel the weight of that on your shoulders?
I'm just amazed. You know, I think quite a few of us suffer from imposter syndrome. I keep looking over my shoulder, but I do know I've achieved that, and I'm very proud of it.
Absolutely. Well, what an inspiration you are. Now, tell us about this garden. How did it start? Did the Bible Society approach you first? Is that how it works?
They approached me first, and to be honest, I'd done 6 consecutive Chelseas, and I thought it was time for a break, but I agreed to meet them. And when they said it was Psalm 23 and I read back over it, I was hooked. I had to do it. It's so deeply visual, so rich in its landscape references that I was sort of caught hook, line and sinker. So here I am, you know, and it's got my heart and soul in it.
Because this garden is all about health and well-being, and it just feels such a tranquil spot. Even standing here with the water feature behind us. And I've got to bring up Mark Gregory, who has played such an important part of this garden, hasn't he? Because we've got to congratulate him too. Best contractor. He's won the award.
Yeah. I mean, it's all teamwork. We actually started on this site before we broke ground. We had a blessing. And all of the team felt that. I mean, it stayed with us throughout the whole build. And we felt, it's dreadful to say it, but we felt warm and fuzzy about the whole thing. And all of us put love and care into it. We always do. But there was something special about this garden.
That has that wonderful, very special feeling. Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations to Mark Gregory as well. And can I say on behalf of everybody here, Sarah, happy birthday for today.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Still to come on today's show. It's all about maximum impact in a pop art inspired container garden. James Wong showcases today's hero plant, the Japanese anemone. and Rachel learns about ikebana, the ancient Japanese art of flower arranging. Joining me now is presenter, broadcaster and professional traveller Amar Latif. Welcome to Chelsea.
Thank you, Angellica.
Now, I know this is a bit of a special day for you because it's the first time you've ever been to Chelsea.
Absolutely, I'm so excited. You know, growing up in Glasgow, I never thought I'd end up here in the Royal Chelsea Flower Show.
But this is the thing about Chelsea, it's for everyone, and there's something for everyone. Do you know what I mean?
That's it, exactly. Even for crazy blind bald guys like me.
Don't say that. That's not how we view you, because one thing about you that's amazing is that you don't have limitations. And, you know, even last year, and I know it was a difficult year for you because you caught COVID, it was terrifying, but that positivity came out of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I always believe that no matter what adversity you face, if you have the right mindset, you can do amazing things. And I remember when I got COVID and then I came back out of hospital, my friend said, oh, you know, we can't guide you, Amar, because we're not in your bubble.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, right, come on, Amar, you always say something positive is going to come out. What's going to come out now? And so I came up with the idea of having a phone, strapping it across my chest with it pointing forward and getting my friends from all over the world to guide me through the woods.
Wow.
And they would just describe me. They'd say left a bit, right a bit. And Amar, if you reach down to the right, you'll feel some bluebells. And I couldn't believe it, Angellica. I was there by myself for the first time ever since I was blind, and I absolutely loved it.
Really, to have that experience?
It was so incredible. And at one point I said to my friend, look, do you mind if I just switch you off? Because I want that feeling of being in the wilderness by myself. So I just sat by a tree and it was just such an incredible feeling.
So nature and the outdoors has always been something you've loved?
It's something that I've loved even more, you know, during the pandemic, and that moment of, you know, not being able to travel the world and do crazy things that I do, getting closer to things, and then, you know, that brought me closer to it.
So let's talk about the courtyard that you own. You have a courtyard, Amar.
I do.
I don't know many people that can say that. So you've redone it, haven't you?
I have. So I've got my friend Liz who designs gardens, and we sat down and she said, right, okay, so what do you want? And I said, I want something that I know that my plants are there, because, you know, when you're blind, you walk past them and you can't see. She goes, okay, so I know what I'm going to do. So she got this stipa, which is a wild grass. So every time I walk past it, it kind of catches on to me like, oh, my garden's down there, you know? And then I've got a little bench and I've got lamb's ears to one side, and when I touch them, I just feel so zen. And I've got lavender on the other side, which she says attracts bees. And I was like, what are you doing to me, Liz? I'm scared of bees, you know? And now I've given them little names, you know, like little Arthur just whizzes past me to check me out. And the touching, the smelling, the hearing, oh, my garden just comes so alive.
That's fantastic. And so is that something that you want to explore more here at Chelsea?
I absolutely do, because that's given me the taste of it. You know, I thought like gardens and stuff wasn't for me, but, you know, it just brings you closer to it. So I want to really find, you know, I've got a herb garden, I've got thyme, I've got rosemary, I've got lavender, I've got all of those things. So I'm really looking to see if there's anything interesting in that side. And also maybe something different, you know, maybe like something else that I can touch, like maybe a sculpture or something like that, I don't know. So looking forward to it.
Well, here's a question. Being blind, is scent really important to you as well?
Absolutely. You know, scent, like, you know, things like mint or rosemary, like when you touch it, I can't believe it comes out the ground. Who put a scent in there? So whoever's looking out for us, whoever's creating all this, they've got inclusivity in mind, you know, like, so it doesn't matter if you're blind or you're sighted, you know, they're creating it all for all of us.
Well, Amar, I think you're going to have a ball here. So you go and explore and then let us know what you find.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Angellica.
I'm looking forward to seeing how Amar gets on. Now, yesterday we asked some of the celebrities at the show whether they had any gardening dilemmas for us to troubleshoot. Here's what actor and comedian Mel Gedroyd had to say.
I think it might be middle age, but I've become slightly obsessed with taking cuttings, which apparently is when you go up to a plant, cut a bit off and then grow it and it becomes your own. Don't really know how to do that. I'm going to ask some good folk.
Well, we sent Chris Bavin out to mine the experts here at the show for their tips on how to get plants for free.
Gardening is brilliant and really rewarding, but it can be an expensive business, especially if you're buying lots of new plants. However, I think autumn is the perfect time to take stock of what you've got, and with a bit of forward planning, you can ensure you are in a bounty of blooms for many years to come. I'm starting with a mainstay of any English country garden, the rose. David, hello. Look, I'm on the hunt. We all want something for nothing. They say there's no such thing as a free lunch. I want to learn more about taking cuttings from roses. What can you tell me?
Okay, so this is what the rose would look like in the summer. This is not the best time to take the cutting. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to grow the plant through the winter, and in February, when you do your pruning, you're going to take your cutting at the same time. You want to take a shoot like this, and you cut it from the top and as low down as you can do, okay? Then what you do is you cut off the soft tip to it, so you end up roughly with a cutting like this. Each length has then got two buds which you keep above the surface and the buds below. The key is the top cut goes just above the bud and you cut it at an angle. That's to make sure the water goes off. At the bottom, you find a bud, and what you're looking to do is you're cutting it straight across just below the bud. You put 4 cuttings into each pot, and the reason being is you won't get them all to grow, so don't worry about it. As long as you get one to grow, you'll end up with a plant, and that plant, over 20 years, will give you 2,000 flowers, and that's 2,000 flowers free of charge.
Well, you can't say fairer than that. Lynn, hello. I'm really excited to learn more about taking cuttings from Streptocarpus and begonias. Can you show me how to do it?
Yeah, certainly. So you'd use a leaf, and you want a nice sharp cut at the base, and then cut along either side of the mid vein. Well, then you put each leaf into compost. I got a nice open compost, so making a little drill line, put the leaf in, and then pull the compost back around the leaf.
Amazing. And then how long from this to this?
That's going to take about a year.
Joe, hello. Succulents are hot property at the minute, and you're going to show me how to take a cutting from one, is that right?
Oh yes, aeoniums are particularly great at propagating. We've got one here that's really common to the UK, Aeonium Schwarzkopf. To get your Aeonium Schwarzkopf to branch, what you need to do is chop its head off.
Oh, that feels a bit drastic.
Well, you've got to be a bit cruel to be kind sometimes. Then introduce that to some nice gritty compost, and then where you've made your cut on your original plant, you'll get new heads appear.
Amazing. So you get a whole new plant for free, and then the plant that you took the cutting from branches out.
It'll start to look like this, yes.
Have you got any other examples?
Another good one that's good for propagating is Senecio string of pearls. So this one, all the leaves, all these green balls are leaves and they're full of water. And it's very simple. All you need to do is lay this on some gritty compost and it will send down roots. This one is really quite simple. You never need to be without a succulent.
Do you know what? There's only one thing people like more than a succulent at the moment, and that's a free succulent.
A free plant, yes.
Well, there you have it. Some really easy ways of not only making the most of the plants you've already got, but saving yourself a small fortune as well.
Now it's that time to get creative as I welcome a Chelsea regular and friend of the show and to the stars. It is celebrity florist Simon Lycett. How are you, Simon?
I'm well, Nikki, and the sun is shining at an autumn Chelsea.
I know. If September was always like this, we'd be very happy. Now, this is the moment that I always love. What have you got in store for us today?
All of our plant material is seasonal and British. It's the sort of stuff that we would have in our gardens. The joy of this time of the year is gardens are bursting with beautiful blooms, and we're going to arrange them sustainably in a bucket with some chicken wire.
Right. Let's get started.
And it's 2-inch mesh of chicken wire that we scrunkle up into a little network that goes to the very bottom, which will support our stems.
Yes.
Secured
now that's
with
important.
A bit of wire.
We don't use any of that foam anymore, do we?
We try not to use foam. Now we're going to start off with our hydrangea first. We've got same but different flowers. If we weren't in the world of TV, we'd make sure we cut and split all of our stems.
Right.
Because that means that they're going to get plenty of water. And we're using these gorgeous English hydrangea,
I love
almost
these.
as foliage.
See, I've got hydrangeas in my garden and they've turned, actually. They were white, they're now sort of that pinky, rusty colour. And they are crowd pleasers.
Oh, and they go on for months on end.
Now, what are the principles? What should we remember when it comes to seasonal flowers? Because there seems to be so much choice here, which I didn't quite appreciate.
There's a lot of choice. A lot of the flowers are less long-lasting. Things like some garden roses, some dahlias. Some of those won't be as long-lasting as florists' flowers, but they've just got a wonderful seasonality about them, a lovely charm that immediately tells you the time of year and gives you a flavour of a British summer garden.
And we keep using the word British because that is so important. We know there's transport issues, shall we say, at the moment.
Yes.
We should be always looking at British flowers, shouldn't we?
Yeah, especially at this time of the year when there is such a rich abundance. When we're chatting at Chelsea in May, there's often not that quantity, but at the moment there is a whole host of gorgeousness.
It is gorgeous. Now, when you've got flowers in your garden, we've had quite a lot of rain recently.
Yep.
Oh, I'm getting all tangled up here, aren't I? We've had quite a lot of rain recently. Sometimes they look a little bit depleted. Should we rescue them and bring them in and put them in a vase?
Exactly. So you'll notice, I've got a few garden roses here that are just, she's called Louise Rachel Moran. Look at her, isn't she just a stripy wonder?
Yes.
But I've even saved those little flowers that have lost their petals because they're just as beautiful to me.
So you can give them an extra lease of life.
Exactly. Rescue them from the storms, rescue them from the weather and get them into a vase and enjoy them for a few days indoors.
So regularly change the water.
Yep, keeping it topped up, arranging into chicken wire means that they'll have plenty of water and you'll be able to feel if the water level's dropping down. You can then keep it topped up and change it if necessary.
Now, there's always a little bit of a snipe about my floral arrangements, not mentioning Joe Swift's name, obviously. How do we think I'm doing today?
I think you are doing very beautifully. It's a bucket of beauty that you've created there, Nicki.
We're getting there, aren't we?
Yeah.
Slowly. Look, I think Angellica should have one of these, but you know what? I think I might give her yours rather than mine.
OK.
Can I take a little bit longer, do you think, to put the finishing touches?
Yeah, just the odd... And those zinnias that you've got that match your frock beautifully, you can always use something like a little extension tube like this. Just, you've got a little one down there.
Just one more, very quickly.
Tuck that in.
Tuck that in, and we're done.
Hide the tube.
Simon, as ever. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's made all the difference. Few laughs there. Thank you so much, gorgeous, and we're definitely going to donate yours to Angellica. Thank you. Now, there's never any shortage of designers making their mark at Chelsea and creating gardens that challenge our perceptions of what a garden should be. Mark Lane has been to check out a couple of the container gardens.
The container gardens here really encapsulate how creative and imaginative you can be in such a small space. This is the Stolen Soul Garden by Anna Dabrowska-Jowdy to raise awareness about mental health. I love the composition in this garden. She's used 3 large sculptural planters and they actually lead your eye through the garden and they are brimming full of plants. And then I love the way that Anna's actually linked the planting to that vertical plane with that lovely living wall. But the planting itself is airy and frothy. It's gorgeous. We've got the architectural pittosporum right at the front. Lovely astrantias, and of course the catmint. But what I also love is the fact that each planter has got slight variances of planting. Underneath the tree, we've got wonderful Lirio muscari. This really is beautiful planting in such a small space, and it just shows you what you can do. By contrast, the Pop Street Container Garden by John McPherson is just full of colour. John, where did the inspiration come for this garden?
Well, Mark, like many people, I've been working from home for the last 18 months, and on the wall above my desk, there is a work by Sir Peter Blake called Bobby Rainbow, and of course he was a pop artist.
And is there a message behind the garden?
Yeah, the message really is that it's time to get back into life. You know, we've had a really difficult 18 months, and I think that, you know, in this garden I want to have my friends, I want to have a few drinks, get energized by the colors and the pop art references before going out on the town.
And how many containers are there?
There are 47 containers in the garden.
And you planted all of those here, didn't you?
Planted all of those here with my amazing team of colleagues, yeah. It took about 14 hours a day to do in the time that we had here at Chelsea.
It's incredible. Now, you've got an array of plants here. Have you got any favourites?
Well, my favourites, two of them, would be this Colocasia esculenta burgundy stem for its tropical foliage and drama, and I think that tall cactus at the back, the Oreocerius or Old Man of Peru.
I think what I love is the way that you've put sort of like bright yellow next to bright pink. It's that real sort of pop of colour. It really is a beautiful garden, and I know from the people that are stopping, they're constantly asking you questions about it, and I think it's just what we all need at this moment in time. So I wish you all the best with the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for that. Now, all this week, we are showcasing the hero plants that will put on a stunning show in your garden at this time of year. And taking centre stage today is the Japanese anemone, and James Wong explains why he's such a big fan of them.
It's the perfect time of year for Japanese anemones. And here at Chelsea, their white and pink flowers are just glorious. To me, they are the perfect combination of something that's incredibly exotic and yet totally reliable. Now, perhaps a little confusingly, the Japanese anemone is actually from China, where they're known as 打破丸花, which means broken ballflower. And when you look at the arrangement of the petals on some varieties, you can really see why, because they almost look like shards of broken, really fine ceramic. Now, despite their really exotic origins, they actually come from climates that are very similar to that of the UK, so moist, woodlandy environments, which means that they are perfectly at home here on the Florence Nightingale Garden. Honorine Joba is this incredibly beautiful, semi-double, pure white form that to me almost looks like it's kind of come to life from a Chinese ornate screen or maybe a Japanese kimono. But don't let its delicate looks fool you into thinking that it also has a delicate constitution, because this guy is tough. They'll handle large amounts of shade where very few other things will grow. But the even trickier situation of shade and dry soil, so the perfect candidate for under trees. And it will even spread in those environments, so it will cover large parts of your garden without becoming so invasive outside of the confines of your space. So it really is the perfect late summer, early autumn flowering plant, and that's probably why on the daisy root stand there are at least 3 different named cultivars. And before you think Japanese anemones are all about ephemeral pastel shades, I give you this, Fall in Love Sweetly, with the most incredible, rich, blousy blooms. It's got this incredible richness, this incredible intensity, and of course, masses and masses of petals, almost like flamingo feathers. This incredible range of varieties makes Japanese anemones just so versatile in the garden. And on top of that, they're easy to grow, they're easy to propagate, and they come out in a time of year when so much of the garden is slowly falling into a slumber. That makes Japanese anemones really the perfect late summer, early autumn flowering plant.
Earlier in the show, Angellica met presenter and broadcaster Amar Latif and found out how gardening has enriched his life. We sent him off to explore the showground and pick up some inspiration for his own garden back home.
I can't believe it. You know, I grew up in Glasgow and here I am at the Chelsea Flower Show. And it's incredible. You know, you can hear all the people around, everyone's having fun. In the Guide Dog's 90th anniversary garden, it's amazing because it's designed for if you can't see. So there's lots of things to touch and feel, smell. So there's been a few things that I've learned from this garden. You know, the way that they've got the sound of the brook in the background, it's quite tranquil. And then, you know, the monada, where you can use the essence to make flavour of Earl Grey tea. So, you know, everyone loves a cup of tea. So I think it's a brilliant garden. Totally makes me feel zen. And then you've got all the various smells, like, you know, I'm sat on a bench here, and underneath I've got oregano, I've got thyme. I could go back onto MasterChef and cook up a pizza or a pasta. What I really like about the crabapple tree is the texture. You've got the branches, and then you've got these bubbles. And because I'm blind, I can't see it. It literally does feel like, you know, Christmas baubles to me. Like, they don't feel real. You know, this is amazing because I hadn't thought about sculptures for my garden, and when I lost my sight when I was 18, I was like that guy there thinking, I'm in a prison cell, you know, and life's gonna be hard, and it was tough, like, you know, climbing out. But now I feel like more like this guy, you know, like it's like, well, I can't see obstacles. And that's quite a special thing. So in the garden, I'm thinking, maybe it would be nice to have something that I can touch, you know, like as I'm walking in through my door, and it creates that emotive effect.
Flamboyant floral displays are a mainstay of the floristry competitions in the pavilion. But there's also a completely different style of floristry being showcased here that originates from Japan. Rachel de Tame is learning all about the ancient tradition of ikebana.
The Japanese word ikebana translates as living flowers, and it dates back to the 6th century when it was introduced to Japan by Chinese Buddhists, and is a traditional decoration of the tokonoma room where guests are welcomed into a Japanese house. And here to explain more is Keiko Smith. Keiko, how long have you been doing ikebana?
Yes, I started ikebana when I was 16. And I fall in love with it, and I've been doing learning ikebana more than 20 years.
And I see you've got a beautiful finished arrangement there, which I'm going to try and emulate. So let's see how we get on.
Now it's once it's a shin, it's called it. It's the length for the bars and the height for the 1.5.
Right. So 1.5. So it's actually quite formal, isn't it? It's quite the way that you work out the proportion. It's almost mathematical.
And the next one is called soe. It's 2/3 of the shin.
Right.
Yes.
So shorter stem.
Shorter stem.
And this sort of angle.
Yes, the area. And straight and push a little bit the angle, 45 degrees. That's
about
perfect.
that?
Yes.
Oh, good.
And then the third length is high, it's called it. It's 1/3 of the length of the shin.
Okay, and that's shorter.
And straight to push, and then
straight,
and then the bend a little bit. That's perfect.
Bit too floppy. What do we think? It's individual.
Up to your feeling. Yeah, that's right.
So tell me more about the whole philosophy of ikebana.
Yes, ikebana is really needed space and minimalism and harmony and seasonable. So yeah, you got this other flowers is actually between the three lengths to add, and then as near as possible this
as
triangle.
Near as possible. So I'll just move that slightly. And how important when you're considering the whole shape? How important are the spaces almost between the different flowers?
Yeah, that's right. It's got to be all the different flowers, about 4 different flowers to do put in the bars, but I needed harmonizing and then unity with it. It's a color and everything.
So, dear, well,
it's not so easy.
You can see I haven't had 20 years' experience of ikebana. I think it might take quite a while. It's one of those things that looks incredibly simple, but there's a real art to it. It's fantastic.
That's very good.
How long would it normally take you to do an arrangement like this?
Normally about 1 hour to finish
About
for one
1 hour?
arrangement, yes.
My
because
goodness.
it's got to be all, care about the, each length.
Right.
And then height and space and colour
so
coordinate.
unlike a sort of Western arrangement, it comes together very gradually, very thoughtfully.
But this is
Thank
opposite.
you. Thank you so much. I can see I'm just beginning. I'm going to spend another 45 minutes now perfecting it. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Coco.
much.
She puts me to shame, doesn't she? Thank you, Rachel. Now, it's almost the end of the show, but we're not quite done yet, because joining us for today's Chelsea Clinic and to answer your gardening questions is Mark Lane. Well, Mark, are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Should we start?
Let's go for it.
Come on.
We've got a good one to start with. We have got Francis here, also known as Uncle Frank, who was born in 1930 and has been to 65 Chelsea Flower Shows. Woo! Now, you've got a question about roses, haven't you?
Yeah. After 6 years at Chelsea, I have to replace my roses. What do you suggest I replace them with?
Oh, well, I think that's easy. I think nice hydrangeas, mop head or paniculata, or even a nice mix. There may be some nice Calaminta Nepeta, and I know you like dahlias.
Yes.
So why not put a few dahlias in there as well, just to give you that extra bit of zing.
They'll match up with the hydrangea.
Absolutely.
Superb.
It'll be gorgeous.
Thank you, Mark. Right, Simon on Twitter's got in touch. He says, what plants look good around late October, early November, please?
Here's one I prepared earlier.
Ah, beautiful.
Nerines. You plant them and then you forget about them and then up they come. And you can even get what's called amarines, which are actually a mix of amaryllis and nerines, but they're still hardy and they can go outside and you get this lovely lipstick colour.
Perfect for those months.
Perfect for those months.
Beautiful. Email here. I have Clematis Lady Betty Balfour from Liz, who has produced very little blossom over the past few years, none this year, despite regular watering and feeding comfrey juice. Please, can you help me to get her blooming again?
Well, that could be down to the pruning. So it's group 3. So ideally what you need to do in February time, you need to cut it right back to about 10 centimetres from the ground. I know it sounds drastic, but believe me, it will work and the flowers will then come up, especially because you're feeding it with the comfrey.
Got time for one more, do you think?
Yes.
OK. Kate says, is there a really bright clematis or clematis, however you want to say it, that I can add to my Welsh-themed south-facing border?
Absolutely. I mean, it's wilted a bit in the sun, but look at this, Nubia. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? This lovely crimson, this will flower all the way from May through to September. Isn't it stunning? And that lovely reverse with that white and purple stripe at the back. Gorgeous.
Beautiful.
So lovely, isn't it? Lovely colour. Right, we need to wrap up. Toby Buckland will be joining us for tomorrow's Chelsea Clinic. And if you have a question for him, send it in via Twitter using the hashtag BBC Chelsea or the Gardeners World Facebook page, and we might be able to answer your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Mark. That's all from us today. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow, where we'll be bringing you more gardening inspiration and revealing the winner of the Best Artisan Garden category.
Now, our coverage continues tonight on BBC One at 7 o'clock with Sophie and Joe. And then Monty and Joe will be back on BBC Two at 8 o'clock when they'll be looking at how gardening can provide rich food for the soul. And don't we know it?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Excellent. Have a good evening. We'll see you soon.
See you tomorrow.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.